Goeiedag, good day, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Well, I'm going to give you a classic example of what Ramaphosa keeps touting, which is black economic transformation, where the power and the businesses go into the hands of the ANC, the well-connected, the families. Not the John and Lovers in Soweto, who earn probably 10 rand a week. No. These are the people who have connections through the network of the ANC. Now, I'll tell you a little story. Back in the 1970s, when the homeland policy was rolled out, I was working at Barclays Bank in that little town of Ikopo. Now, Ikopo is an onomatopoeia. That means it's a sound. And it's the sound of a cow's hoof going into mud. Ikopo. Now, it gets its name because Ikopo used to be a very swampy area. But that's totally beside the point of this video. But I worked at the Mismanagement agency, which was just across the Mismanagement River in the new homeland that was then called the Transkei. And because I had a British passport, every day I went in with the bank to the Mismanagement agency. I had to get or fill in a customs declaration, get my passport stamped, and I've still got that passport, and it's got hundreds of Mismanagement stamps on it because I had to do this every day for weeks. But this is the irony of the situation. The guy who ran that customs post as you go across the Mismanagement River into what then became the Transkei, and because I was a British citizen who wouldn't recognize Transkei, I went through the ropes every day, waited in queues and all this sort of stuff before I could go and open the bank. But the guy who ran that customs post, he had to come into my bank to draw money once he got his salary. And he hadn't thought this through, because two can play that game. This is a true story. I knew the guy well because he'd always be sitting there in the background with a big smile on his face saying, "Yeah, you stupid old pom." So I knew the guy really well. Comes a day where he gets his salary. And he comes into my bank and he pushes his way because he's got this fancy outfit on and he's the guy in charge of the customs post at Mismanagement. So he pushes past about 50 people to the front of the queue and puts his savings book in front of me with his big fat check because of his position and all this sort of stuff. And I took one look at him and I said, "There's a queue. Go and join the back of it." And he had this look in his face, and big eyes, like realization that, is this really happening to me? Yeah, this is really happening to you. So he sort of saunters off to the back of the queue, his little peacock feathers heavily damaged at this time, his reputation as this very, very powerful man, severely under duress. About an hour later, because I took my time with the people I was serving before him, he got to the front of the queue, puts his savings book down on the little counter in this little bank agency, and I looked at his deposit, and I was looking for something that was wrong, and I found something that was wrong with his deposit. He had put the wrong date. So I said to him, "I'm sorry, sir." I was very respectful. "I'm sorry, sir, but you will have to go to inquiries because you haven't filled in your form correctly." And his face just went, It's like, I wish I'd had a camera and taken the shot. But anyway, he said, but. I said, no, I'm sorry, you'll have to go to inquiries. So he went to the back of the inquiry queue, which was about 20 people long. You're getting my drift as to where this is going. But about 45 minutes later, you got to the front of the inquiries queue, and the clerk there was talking to this guy in Zulu. And he knocked on my window, the clerk, the black African clerk, and said, "What's wrong with this?" And I said, "The date." Ah. So he fixed the date up on the form for the guy, and he said, "Okay, now you're ready to go." So, of course, being the bumptious, arrogant little prick that he was, this guy in charge of the customs post at Umzimkulu just simply pushed his way to the front of the queue again to get his transactions passed. And I took one look at him. I said, no. You got to go to the back of the queue. That was the inquiries queue. This is a queue for people who are going to be served to get their money. And the expression on his face went from shock to absolute horror, because he's now been waiting about 2 hours to get some money from this bank clerk. Anyway, he went to the back of the queue, and I was just enjoying myself, taking my time. An hour and a half later, he got to the front of the queue. And I looked at his deposit form. I said, "Yes, you got it correct this time. Well done." I stamped it, put the money into a savings account. He had a withdrawal slip, and I looked at it. And, yep, that was filled out fine. I said, "Very happy to help you, sir." Stamped his little withdrawal slip and filled in the amount that had changed it in his book. And I said to him, as I was dealing out the cash, I said, "You know, this could be so much easier for both of us." I said, "Every day you stuff me around coming through that customs post because I've got a British passport. And I said, every time you come into this bank branch, I'm going to make it harder and harder and harder for you to draw your cash. Do we understand each other?" And he looked at me and he said, "How boss?" Now, that came straight out of the blue, because up until now it was, I'm the boss. It's, "How boss? What do I do? How can we fix this?" You can imagine the horror of every time he wants to draw cash from my agency, he's going to spend 5 hours waiting in different queues, being embarrassed because he has to go to the back, where he's used to being at the front. It's the old power thing. So I said to him, and I was thinking about this while he was in the queue, and I said to him, "Look, I've got a simple solution. Why don't you just inform all your customs post staff at the Umzimkulu River that if someone that they stop says one word, bank, they say, go through." And that's what happened. From then on, I used to drive up to the customs post. The customs officer would come up to me. I'd say, "Bank." I'd say, How, go. It was quite embarrassing. And I used to be doing this at 10 o'clock at night because I was writing a book at the time on the Strachan coins, and I used to go and see Ken Strachan and would sit and chat for hours and hours and hours. And I had to go through this damn customs post when I was going back to Ikopo. But all I had to do in my little mini miner, my little green mini miner, when they came to the window, I would say, "Bank." And they would say, go. Now, why am I talking about all this? Well, I'll tell you why. Because in Umzimkulu, and right through Transkei, after it became a homeland, all these stores that were once owned by Strachan and Co. were basically handed over to black managers. They were going to run the businesses. They were well connected within the community. Within 6 months, Every single one of those businesses was bankrupt. Every single one. I know, because I was there at Umzimkula. I saw it happen. There would be no money coming through because it was all going into the back pocket. And then when it came to pay the bills for the food or the whatever it might be, of course, there was nothing in the bank account because it had all gone into the back pocket. Now, what you're going to see in the video attached here is just exactly the same thing happening, except this time it's a very, very important member of the ANC who happens to be, for some strange reason, the owner of the Ultra petrol station outside Escort, which has had no petrol for 3 weeks. And listen to the video to find out why. This is Africa in action for you. This is what black economic transformation is doing to South Africa. Everybody in the ANC is on the take. Please remember to subscribe to Loving Life on YouTube to be kept informed. Please remember to register on lovinglifetv.com to be kept informed. That's the platform we're transitioning to. Please like this video, please share this video, and above all, please stay safe. Bye for now.
Okay, check this out. I am at the Ultra City. What's this? Yeah, the Ultra City, just outside Escort, coming back from Ladysmith. Have a look. Everything's closed. There is no fuel. Okay, I've got enough fuel to make it on to Pietermaritzburg. No fuel. The Debonairs are open, Steers, which is where my wife is right now, but the fuel is not. I asked the Black Oak what's happening. He says to me, this has nothing to do with COVID. This has nothing to do with the riots that have been on. For 3 weeks now, there's been no fuel in this petrol station. He tells me there's only 2 guys here just telling the people to go on to the next place. This petrol station, I said to him, is it owned by a farmer? He says, no, it's owned by a black guy who's in Parliament. And he can't afford to pay for the fuel. It's been for 3 weeks now. Shell, because it's a Shell petrol station, offered him some kind of thing where they would give him fuel on extra, but he had to pay up front or something. The Oak doesn't have the money. So this is how these Black Oaks operate their businesses. If this was my business, I'd make sure that Shell gets paid so that the business could run. I mean, look at this. I've never seen it like this. There's just nothing here. Look around. There's a couple of people going to Figo and Debonairs and a couple of people there. The big trucks have been turned away and everything is completely dead. How do you run a business? Huh? This country will never get ahead with people who think like that.